Today we're doing a budget phone comparison, the Pixel 6a versus the Samsung A54. One thing to note right away is that the Pixel 6a can only shoot 1080p front-facing camera, whereas on the A54 is at 4K. Starting off with the ultra-wide, the Samsung is just a bit wider, so if you want to get more epic wider shots or in tighter spaces, that's going to be more helpful. Noticing the HDR, it's pretty back and forth. Sometimes I'll see the Galaxy to be a bit brighter in the shadows, and sometimes the Pixel is, but I noticed that the Pixel is just more consistent. Now for video, obviously the Pixel is really stabilized, so if you're walking around, it's going to be less jarring, less of a headache to watch, so I would not recommend shooting video on the Galaxy A54's ultra-wide. Even in low light situations, it can be a bit more crispy on a Galaxy, but that's because on a Pixel, it's more stabilized and you can see the micro jitters when it's trying to stabilize when I'm making the harder steps. For the pictures, it's not too bad, but there are times where it's just too dark for me. The Pixel does bring up the shadows a bit more and have just a bit more detail, so I feel like the Pixel is just really well rounded for the most part. And now for the colors, it depends on your personal taste, but Galaxy is pretty known for their more saturated colors. The camera performance on the A54 is really sluggish in low light. Like, I press the shutter button and it takes a pretty long time until I can actually see it take the picture, and you can't really do much about it until it's finally loading or processing, so I personally think it's not a great phone for capturing the moment in dark situations. On a Pixel 6a, it is pretty slow, but it's not to this point, so personally the Pixel 6a is gonna be the winner for performance in low light. And if you happen to move or you're in the cold with really shaky hands, the Pixel will still come out sharper than a Galaxy. But I do like how the Galaxy A54 does have a bit brighter pictures throughout darker areas. Now for video on the wide lens, it's definitely much better than the ultra wide, but it's still not as stable as the Pixel. So I think if you like to shoot the running gun videos or like vlog videos, maybe the Galaxy A54 is not going to be the best choice for you. Also, the colors are a bit different, especially during nighttime where it's more bluish, whereas the Pixel is more gray. Kinda, that leans more towards the realistic color as the fog is technically gray and not blue. So from my experience, the Galaxy A54 is definitely more of a photography phone than a videography phone, and it does pretty well during daylight. And I think the best strength of the A54 is when you're taking pictures of food, because the colors do pop very well and it makes the food looks pretty good. Whereas on a Pixel, it's more neutral, so it doesn't really stand out. For telephoto, they don't have telephoto lenses, but they can zoom in. Both of these phones do have a quick button to 2x, and for max zoom, the Galaxy is on 10x and Pixel is on 7x. These are digital zoom ins, so of course they're not going to be the best looking images, but zooming all the way in, the Galaxy is a bit blurrier and you can see a bit more artifacts, not as sharp as the Pixel, which the software does help a lot on their end. But regardless, if you know you need to zoom, then definitely the Galaxy is going to be the better choice. And if you happen to shoot video, 10x max on a Galaxy and 5x max on a Pixel. And even just panning around, the Galaxy is a bit jerky or try to catch up to your panning, whereas the Pixel is pretty smooth. So definitely across all the ultra wide, wide, and even zooming in, the stabilization might be a big downfall and the reason why you don't want to shoot video on this phone. Now moving on to the Instagram camera app, during daytime, they're not too bad and the experience on both phones are pretty similar. When you're taking the picture, it does take a little bit to process, but when you hit lower light situations like at dinner, it takes a very long time, and also if you happen to move, it will be pretty blurry. There are a couple of times where I have to take it multiple times because I can easily tell on the screen that it's blurry and it's not the picture I wanted, so it does take a couple of shots to actually shoot from the Instagram camera app. This is definitely not what you want to use when you're trying to capture the moment in these situations. On portrait mode, it's pretty basic and simple. They both have 1x, and obviously the Galaxy is definitely giving you that wider focal length, whereas on a Pixel it's definitely more cropped in. Do note that you do have a 2x option on a Pixel, but it's not going to look as good as 1x, so I would always recommend staying at 1x. But as a portrait picture, I do like the look of the Pixel 6a more just because the background is more compressed. like a real portrait picture. So those are my opinions. Let me know what you think about these two phones and which one you think is the better budget phone for the camera. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.